in the world is going on in Baltimore?
Man, I think it's all part of the plan, bro.
Listen,
I mean,
I smell something fishy because here's the thing. Okay, so I get
it's
it, right?
more than fish.
Um, you know, I don't know if reports got out that Dallas, because I mean, reports have stated that Dallas and Baltimore basically had a gentleman's agreement on a trade for Maxx Crosby. 2026 first round pick, 27 second round pick, and Oso Digizua. And it sounds like after that come out, that's when Baltimore said, "Hey, hold on, we'll give you 1 second. If you're going to take that, I'll give you 2 firsts right now." And of course, obviously, Las Vegas jumped on it. They said, "Okay, yeah, we wanted 2 firsts to begin with, so here you go." Now, just reading into the reports and during the trade talks, it sounds like Las Vegas and everybody was very, very, very honest about Crosby and his knee. Obviously, everybody knows he just had knee surgery, and it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing major. It was a meniscus. It wasn't a shaving. It wasn't any of that. It was a meniscus repair, which I can attest. Meniscus repairs are horrible because you can't put weight on it. You can't bend it. You can't walk on it. Now, I had mine back in 2010, 2011, so things may have changed. But back then when I had mine, I was in a brace that I couldn't bend and I couldn't put any pressure on that leg for 6 weeks because that meniscus obviously is
physical
between,
shape here.
Do what?
A little bit different physical shape here too.
100%, but it's still the same. I mean, same surgery. Yeah, I might be carrying a little different body type, but you can't. I mean, you've got to let those stitches and that deal heal, and so obviously walking on it just puts pressure on it. So they didn't want you to walk on it, bend it, no pressure, no nothing. So they told everybody he was going to be out till June or July. He wasn't going to be 100%. So they agreed to the trade knowing the surgery, the info. It sounds like the surgeon and everybody was involved, all the reports and everything was up front. And then yesterday happened.
Yeah.
They bring him to Baltimore for the physical, which everybody knew he wasn't going to pass.
Yeah.
And I think it was. I think Crosby released a statement or made a comment that was released by somebody. I was reading it earlier. I've been on X, every chance I get, just looking for updates and whatnot. But they said that while he was in Baltimore all day yesterday at the facilities doing his meeting everybody and doing his physical and whatnot, that it just didn't seem right. Something felt off, but that's because the GM was in there trying to negotiate and get Trey Hendrickson while he was there.
I think this was going on for some time. And I think the longer the Hendrickson stayed unsigned, they thought, man, did we jump the gun here? Because, we can get out of this deal, get our 2 1s back, and still get an elite pass rusher. And I know they're saying now, hey, we were prepared to sign Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby. And listen, you're not prepared to pay that kind of money for defensive end. You're not that. But
not at all.
I mean, but how smart is that though? You take and you put all this together and say, hey, we're gonna trade Maxx Crosby. We're gonna lock him up, take him off the market, trade for Maxx Crosby, and then we're gonna see how this plays out because we're gonna have that I mean, I just see this conversation going on. Is like we're going to have that clause with the physical. That way, if we can't get Hendrickson signed, well, then we have this Maxx Crosby plan B. Well, then Hendrickson gets. They know they're going to get Hendrickson signed, so they bring him in. They do the physical. They get out of that, get their ones back, and now a couple of things was like you created that buzz around Baltimore for a minute, and whether or not it's why some of these guys signed, I don't know. I mean, they didn't make a ton of signings, but you created a buzz around Baltimore. Well, then you send him back. The Raiders have since signed a slew of people and spent quite a bit of money.
Yeah, they have.
And now Maxx Crosby is back on their books, and they're like, oh no. And now you've got the news out about, which, like you said, they've been completely honest. I think they said June or July is when they expected him to be able to pass a physical.
Yeah.
And so now our team's going to shy away from making that trade. Did they find something? You know, I've read some stuff about maybe they found something in the results that show more long-term damage than what was expected. But
well,
I don't see that. It's not like he.
I will say this though, because what they're worried about is the same thing that everybody else is worried about when you have a meniscus injury. But the problem is, again, like their concerns are more so with a meniscus shaving than a repair. Because, you know, like I said, back when I had my surgery, the surgeon was going to just go in and shave it out and cut a lot of it out from the get-go. That was the original plan. Well, then when they got in there, he was, you know, the biggest problem is his blood supply. But, you know, he thought, oh, well, okay, his looks healthy and looks like it's got great blood supply. I think that I can go ahead and just repair it, not shave it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, unfortunately, I was out of work for, I think it was like 11 months because they ended up having to go and shave it later on and cut half of it out. But what they're concerned about is the side effects from meniscus shavings and your knee being bone to bone, because you can cause stress fractures. You can, you know, there's several different things, arthritis, and obviously that's going to happen with any surgery for the most part. They say you have surgery, you're going to have arthritis in there before, you know, when you get older, blah, blah, whatever. But their concerns are more so with the shavings than, you know, the side effects of the shaving than the repair, because his meniscus is still there. It's still intact. So I think, and this is more just a ploy and like you said, just an easy way out of this trade. Because I think, obviously you and I being in the car business, we deal with it every now and then, and that's buyer's remorse, man. You know, that people think, oh man, I paid too much for this, or I didn't get enough for mine, or whatever. And they're having the same thoughts. Dang, I just gave up 2 years of first round picks for Maxx Crosby, which is an elite pass rusher. But my God, now I've got him on the books for X amount of dollars, and I don't have first round pick the next 2 years. What am I doing?
Yep.
And then, like you said, the longer Hendrickson stayed unsigned, the more they were able to kind of, you know, dabble back and forth between the two, and you know, have that communication and see where they would land. And when they realized that signing Hendrickson was actually a real possibility, that's when they started saying, okay, hey, listen, we're gonna catch some flack for this, and we're gonna get raked across the coals, and it's gonna be bad. But what if we go ahead and back out of this trade and we get our 2 first round draft picks back and we sign Hendrickson, who at the same time has had injury issues and was kind of questionable on the physical side of things because he was out for most of the year this year. I mean, basically all year, I think. So
most of it.
Which one would you take? Hendrickson, who's 31, Maxx Crosby? I mean, they're about the same age or pretty close to.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably gonna get Hendrickson for a little bit cheaper. So that's the only benefit to it. I'm sorry, but if I'm picking between the two, it's Maxx all day long.
Oh, give
So
me Maxx Crosby.
100%. And so that's what I'm saying. You know, it's one of those things where I think they got a little bit of cold feet or buyer's remorse, and they wanted to back out, and get the cheaper option and keep their first round picks. Because I think if I remember, I mean, they've got a top 15 pick. They might be able to pick up an Akeem Mesidor or another pass rusher to pair with him. So, you know, it's kind of crazy. The last couple of days have been nuts, but